Welcome back. Our next guest comes from a long line of venture capitalists. He's Tim Draper. He's the founder of Draper Fisher Jurvetson, which counts Skype and Baidu among its many investments. He joins us to talk about the outlook for the tech industry. We've been talking about a lot of different things. Tim, out of the gate, I want to ask you, first of all, about when it comes to tech and the IPO market. We've done a story about how everybody's kind of pulling back when it comes to initial public offerings. Do you think that's going to continue? I mean, what are you hearing out of Silicon Valley and the folks that you're working with?
Well, I have a sense that the technology world is going to have a second renaissance. I think over the next 4 or 5 years, we've got a big boom coming. And part of it is because we've had this big recession. It's created a lot of people have lost their jobs, and they are now going out and saying, wait a second, I know better than the company I was working for. I can go start a business that competes with them, and I can jump way ahead of them in terms of technology, so I'm going to go do it. And so it turns out that this is one of those times where everybody's sort of reprogramming. They're setting up for the next big wave, and I think the next big waves are the next 4 or 5 years. So
you're not worried about kind of the pullback that we've seen in IPOs. I think about Groupon. I mean, ultimately, you expect a Groupon to IPO?
Well, actually, I don't think that all companies are meant to do IPOs. In fact, I think IPOs are getting to be a little antiquated. There are too many regulations around IPOs. Companies that want to continue to grow their business the way they have might want to keep it private. They may want to do XPOs with Expert Financial. That's a company that I got going. Because going public it's very difficult to go public. Great entrepreneurs don't want to be under all that scrutiny of going public. Facebook's still not public because I don't think their board and I don't think their entrepreneur really want to go public.
But do you think, wait, I just got to ask you though, so do you think ultimately Facebook and Groupon though, Tim, will go public?
Yeah, ultimately I think that they will, or maybe they'll do an XPO with Expert Financial. I think that companies have to sort of rethink the way they what the brass ring is, because the public markets are moving farther and farther away from companies. They have to be worth billions of dollars to make it worth it, and now I think is a time for people to rethink, and companies that don't want to be bought out, and they don't want to sell out, have a big opportunity, I think, to try something new.
Yeah, I was talking with the founder of Second Market yesterday, and he was saying, we used to see 1,000 IPOs a year 10 years ago. Now we only see 100 or 200. It used to be that they went public for 50 million. Now it's got to be 500 million. Talk to us about the possibility of that as an exit strategy for VCs, and also, what is an XPO? What does that mean?
Oh, an XPO is just, it's like an IPO, only it goes just to high net worth individuals and qualified institutions. And as a result, it no longer, and it's with this company, Expert Financial, and it doesn't mean that they have to do all those crazy things that you have to do when you go public.
So
those turn out to cost about, they cost about that costs about $4 to $20 million a year just to stay public, and a lot of companies just can't afford that.
It's funny, we talk about a new normal, so it sounds like there could be a new normal when it comes to startup companies and kind of how they play things out. Maybe not going public, as you suggest, Tim. Let me ask you, because when we initially wanted to bring you on, it was during the week of when President Obama came out with his jobs program. Talk to me about what's coming out of Washington and how that's either hurting or helping your industry, and especially the nurture of young businesses, small businesses to start, that really are the backbone of our economy.
Well, I think Washington misses the point in a lot of ways. I think in Washington, they look at a job as something one individual does for their entire life. And in the Silicon Valley, we look at a job as, there's a lot more job mobility here. And so we look at a job as a part of continuum. And so an engineer can move from one company to another very easily. A salesman can move from one company to another very easily. And so it's really building out of a career and with a lot more job mobility. And so we look at Washington's programs and we think, well, wait, why are you telling people that they should continue to support people who are buggy whip manufacturers? It doesn't make any sense. We don't need any more buggy whips. So I think it's time for Washington to start thinking about jobs as a continuum and to encourage more entrepreneurship, because the entrepreneurs create the jobs that matter in the future.
I'm curious because we've been talking a lot, too, about all the uncertainty that's out there, Tim, and how it's preventing large businesses from deploying any of their capital, from hiring aggressively. What's it holding back in your industry? Is it holding you back from making investments, from making future moves, growing some of your companies? How's it affecting you, if at all?
No, I tend to actually operate the other way. When everybody else is scared, I pour on the gas. And when everyone else is celebrating, I get a little nervous. But I think what we really need is optimism here, because it is an optimistic world right now. Great things are happening out there. The technology has made the whole world a lot wealthier. It's made the whole world, it's created a lot more jobs. The world now communicates so much better. Geographic borders are falling. Governments are having to compete with each other for the great minds in the capital of the world.
Right.
And the great minds and capital of the world are spreading all the way around the globe. This is a really exciting time. This is a very optimistic time, and I think Washington is missing that point. You know, this is a great time.
Good to hear some optimism, Tim, because there's a lot of pessimism out there. Tim, we got to run. Thank you so much. Tim Draper, he's managing director of the venture capital firm Draper Fisher Jurvetson.